The Charlottesville Unite the Right rally was the largest white nationalist protest in the U.S. in several decades, with neo-Nazis, alt-right groups, and KKK members from across the U.S. gathering to protest against the planned removal of a statue of Confederate General Robert E. Lee. Heather Heyer, a 32-year-old paralegal, was murdered after a car intentionally drove into the crowd of counter-protesters where she was demonstrating against the rally on Saturday, August 12, 2017. On Wednesday, August 16, Heather's mother, Susan Bro, stood before the world to remember her daughter and sent us all a message. My child's famous Facebook post was, "If you're not outraged, you're not paying attention." She paid attention. She made a lot of us pay attention. Oh my gosh, dinner with her, we knew, was going to be an ordeal of listening and conversation and perhaps disagreement, but it was going to happen. And so my husband, he would say, well, okay, I'm going to go out in the car and play on my video game for a while. And we would sit and we would grill, and she and I would talk, and I would listen. And we would negotiate, and I would listen. And we talked about all this stuff. We talked about politics. We talked about anything that caught her eye, that she felt was fair, unfair. She'd talk about her feelings about the office and how things were going. I mean, she just talked. The girl loved to talk. And she was single, so there was nobody to listen at home, so Mama got a lot of it. And that was wonderful. You never think you're going to bury your child. You never think to take those pictures. They asked me for pictures for this, and I struggled. I had pictures from her childhood, but I have to go to Facebook to find pictures of my child because we were always together. I saw her a couple of times a month at least, and we would text each other fairly often, and we would Facebook message and say, "I love you." I have no regrets on that part. Take pictures of the ones you love, because you don't know when they're not going to be there. Here's what I want to say to you today. This could be a storm in a teacup, and it could all be for nothing. I could have said, let's not do this publicly. Let's have a small private funeral. But that's not who Heather was. Anybody who knew Heather said this is the way she had to go, big and large, had to have the world involved, because that's my child. She's just that way, always has been, and she will continue to be, because here's the message. Although Heather was a caring and compassionate person, so are a lot of you. A lot of you go that extra mile. And I think the reason that what happened to Heather has struck a chord is because we know that what she did was achievable. We don't all have to die. We don't all have to sacrifice our lives. They tried to kill my child to shut her up. Well, guess what? You just magnified her. So here's what I want to happen. You asked me, what can I do? So many caring people, pages of pages of pages of stuff I'm going through. I'm reading pages of how she's touching the world. I want this to spread. I don't want this to die. This is just the beginning of Heather's legacy. This is not the end of Heather's legacy. You need to find in your heart that small spark of accountability. What is there that I can do to make the world a better place? What injustice do I see and want to turn away? I don't want to get involved. They'll be annoyed with me. My boss might think less of me. I don't care. You point a finger at yourself like Heather would have done, and you make it happen. You take that extra step. You find a way to make a difference in the world. My child had a high school education. My child was no saint. She was hard to raise because everything was a negotiation. I'm not kidding, but you know what? She was a firm believer in whatever she believed. And let's do that. Let's find that spark of conviction. Let's find in ourselves that action. Let's have that uncomfortable dialogue. It ain't easy sitting down and saying, why are you upset? It isn't easy sitting down and saying, yeah, well, I think this way, and I don't agree with you, but I'm going to respectfully listen to what you have to say. We're not going to sit around and shake hands and go kumbaya and I'm sorry. It's not all about forgiveness. I know that's not a popular chant. The truth is we're going to have our differences. We are going to be angry with each other, but let's channel that anger, not into hate, not into violence, not into fear, but let's channel that anger into righteous action. Right now, there's a blood drive going on in Heather's name. Right now, there are people who are here willing to listen to one another and talk to one another. Last night in New England, they had a peaceful rally in Heather's name to have some difficult dialogue. If you ever want to see what those dialogues look like, look at her Facebook page. I'm telling you, they were rough sometimes, but they were dialogues and conversations that have to happen. That's the only way we're going to carry Heather's spark through. So remember in your heart, if you're not outraged, you're not paying attention. And I want you to pay attention. Find what's wrong. Don't ignore it. Don't look the other way. Make a point to look at it and say to yourself, what can I do to make a difference? And that's how you're going to make my child's death worthwhile. I'd rather have my child, but by golly, if I have to give her up, we're going to make it count. Thank you.